All right, exactly 6 o'clock. A very good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight at the special election show that we bring to you live from Johannesburg. We have news and informative contributions to keep you up to date in the run-up to the elections. That's exactly 2 weeks away. Good evening, Tshwane.
Hello, Leah.
Nice to see you again.
Nice and rested. You're up too early in the morning, and you still here this time in the evening.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It is ridiculous. Don't remind me. If you remind me, I'm going to get tired.
But it's always good to have you here.
It is.
Look, we start now,
yeah?
looking ahead, because when those election days come, there's no sleep.
I know, it gets
because that's when SABC News broadcasts 24 hours a day, coming to you from the IBC in Pretoria. In fact, 2 days before that, as we get closer to the elections, that's when the main elections being the 3rd, the special votes are cast on the 1st as well as the 2nd of August. And today, on the show, we focus on Tshwane, one of the 3 highly contested metros. I think it's Tshwane. We spoke about the Nelson Mandela Bay on Monday. Tshwane and Cape Town. Those 3 are the ones to look out for.
Cape Town, the city of Joburg. That's the big one. And Cape Town's quite an easy one to predict, but that city of Johannesburg is going to be another one. But Tshwane tonight taking centre stage, and that is going to be so interesting to see what happens. He's got it. He's the man. Can he feel the chair burning beneath his? What am I allowed to say?
I thought you agreed yesterday. It's no longer burning. That's not the hot chair.
Oh, is this the hot chair?
Yes, that's the hot chair. That's the mellow one.
But why am I feeling the heat right here? Well, guys, I hate to be the bearer of sad tidings, but the IEC just declared that no selfies at the ballot boxes. Tabiso, I repeat, no selfies at the ballot boxes.
I don't do selfies.
Well, whatever the case is, thank you so much for joining us. A very good evening to you. Thank you, Simpio Ngwan. And the program tonight is packed with interesting bits, and believe me, 30 minutes, it is so short. And today on Twitter, we ask you, how can small municipalities generate their own revenue? That is, of course, the reason why metros are so successful, because they generate their own revenue. Let us know what you think on #SABC elections, and later on in the program, we'll have a look at your suggestions. But first things first, let's have a look at Tshwane. Leanne, what you got for us?
Yeah, all right, let's talk Tshwane now. So 2 weeks to go until the elections, until you go out and vote. Political parties and independent candidates are pulling out all the stops to win Tshwane, the country's capital, Pretoria, the centre of the metro.
Yeah, it's also the administrative capital of South Africa and one of the most contested metros ever this year.
The city of Tshwane was established in December 2000 and consists of 13 former city and town councils. In 2011, its population stood at just over 3 million. It houses, among others, 4 universities, the Swartkop and Waterkloof Air Force bases, as well as the Union buildings. The economy is driven by finance, manufacturing, automotive and metal industries. Roslyn is the metro's largest industrial hub. Tshwane has its own challenges: unemployment, service delivery, poverty and allegations of corruption. Political parties have been traversing the breadth and length for their campaigning. Currently, the ANC is in control of the metro and the DA the official opposition. But the DA was the first to announce its mayoral candidate.
Our chances going forward are very good because the people got exposed to what the ANC is capable of. The ANC is capable of bringing destruction instead of bringing a solution that the people would enjoy. And therefore, what we are saying is that instead of voting for a government that only and has displayed that it's only interested in making sure that it holds on to power, it makes sure that it only serves the interest of the few instead of the interest of the community, then the people have an opportunity to vote for a government that will ensure that they get the services that they deserve, the government that will ensure that the people are put first instead of the party or a group of individuals.
The ANC took longer to announce its mayoral candidate as some members questioned the process. When Togo Didiza was announced as a mayoral candidate, the residents responded with violence and demanded that the incumbent mayor, Kosiensu, be retained. Various townships were engulfed by violent protests which left 5 people dead and a trail of destruction. Ramokopa distanced himself from the disruptive elements and supported Didiza and the ANC decision. The ANC has gone past that setback and says it will improve service delivery and tackle other challenges once it is re-elected to govern the capital city.
One of the things that we appreciate as the ANC is that we are a current government governing the city, and we've been in the past years. We're confident that the work that we've done speaks for itself. We've been to communities. If you were to look at how Tshwane looked like in 1994 and how Tshwane looks today, marked difference. No one amongst us, even the opposition, can deny. However, there remain challenges. Backlog of housing is still an issue. Issues of informal settlement is a challenge.
The FF Plus says it is very optimistic that their support base will grow.
Well, we see in our own polling that our numbers are increasing in Tshwane, Pretoria area. We think that the ANC is in trouble. They have infighting, so many people are not going to vote, or they're going to perhaps give a protest vote to another party. So they might find some other opposition parties that grows as well. But we'll definitely be a player after 3 August, and hopefully we can form a coalition to keep the ANC out.
The Economic Freedom Fighters will be participating in the local government election for the first time, this after doing well in the 2014 national and provincial government elections. Observers see them as kingmakers should there be no outright victor. And the EFF believe that their popularity in the capital is growing.
As we continue to do door-to-door in Pretoria, in particular in Hammanskraal, we meet many people who are disgruntled, many people who feel that the government of the ANC is not taking them serious, and they are saying that they are going with the EFF. In fact, they are happy that we are entering their houses and we are preaching the gospel of the EFF. The community that we are at right now, it is just a voting station under Ward 49. And majority of the people here are going to vote for the EFF.
The parties have done their electioneering. Now it's up to the voters. Offenses Timo, SABC, Pretoria.
Yeah, definitely want to look out for, I mean, as Offenses said there, that's up to the voters, and Pretoria in particular, as you heard in the package, what flared up after, you know, the mayoral candidate was announced. Be interesting to see what the numbers say after this election. I'm sure that's what you're doing right now.
That's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at those, at the graphics after, and we'll start with the 2011 local elections, because that's the only way you can actually tell how the municipal council and the elections are going to be done there. So let's put it up and have a look at what actually happened in 2011, and these, of course, coming from the city of Tshwane, the race for votes. So this is the last time we had municipal elections, in 2011. You can see there that the turnout was 55.23%. The ANC took 56.46% of those votes. The DA, 38.74% of the votes. And the Freedom Front Plus, they got 1.59% of the votes. Let's just tell you here and have a look at this picture. Remember, the EFF were not around in 2011. So let's take them into account in these elections that we're going into right now. So that's what happened in the last municipal elections. Let's move on to now the race for seats, because this is really what it's all about, to see who has the most power, who has the most seats. So we've got a total of 210 seats in the Tshwane Metro. The ANC took 118 of those seats. The DA have got 82 of those seats. The Freedom Front Plus have got 4 seats. COPE have got 2 seats. And then other parties, those are the other parties that are contesting the elections or did contest in 2011. They walked away with 4 of those seats. Now, you do know, of course, that there are by-elections that have been running, so that picture changed just a little bit, and here are those allocations. So not a big change, but you can basically see what happened. The ANC still with their 118 seats, DA 82, Freedom Front Plus 4, COPE 2, and the others at 4 seats. I also just want to point out to you in Tshwane what happened during the elections. Not that the general elections that we held in 2014 are any key indicator of what to expect for the elections going into now. But what we can certainly tell you is, let's look at the results for 2014. In Tshwane, The ANC got 49.3% of the vote, and the DA got 33.75%. So when we talk about a highly contested metro, this is one of those metros that you've got to really, really look out for. So Tshwane is a big one, very, very highly contested. And of course, as we did mention with the mayor-elect, Toko Didiza, of course, coming in there, a lot saying that they might just have lost some votes with Josienso Ramakgopa not being the mayor in that area. So it really is going to be quite interesting to see what happens with Tshwane. I mean, looking at those, it was a clear win for the ANC then, but now...
that you're speaking about now, 49.3% as compared to the 52% that the ANC had, and then 43.4%, I think, for the DA. The problem then is, if you factor in that EFF that you spoke about, and they do seem to be strong in that area, it's going to be a contested.
You've got to keep it in.
Again, this could be another hung or split municipality.
It could be. So this is a very big one to watch on. And another thing is that if you favour one political party, you've got to go out there. You have to vote because, you know, it could just take that couple of people that just decide to stay away from the polls that swings the vote in the favour of the other party. So this is one of those areas where if you are a fan of one political party and you want them to lead your metro and your municipality, you best get out there and vote.
Sim?
And then, of course, the power is in your hands to decide which party stays in power and which party is booted off. And, you know, please stay with us. Just after the break, we'll talk to a specialist political researcher on Tshwane, and his name is Ronesh Dwaraj. And we'll also take a look at the tweets. And they're coming in fast and furious. And the question was, how can smaller municipalities generate more revenue? Do join us after the break.
News Today provide news updates giving a wealth of knowledge. Breaking stories and crossing live for you. We follow business developments intensely. Experts and analysts tackle all challenging issues for you. We cover stories locally and abroad to keep you informed. We cover all sporting codes just for you. We are sure to give you weather to be ready for the day. Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
Good afternoon, you're with the news at 1.
Welcome to Lunchtime News Amplified.
Selection of political parties by means of a lucky draw has been a common practice for the past 22 years.
We take an in-depth look at top stories of the day and live crossings to our journalists on the scene.
First time in our nation's history that a woman will be a major party's nominee.
Business news, sports update, and weather report.
Hello and welcome to News Live. I'm Natasha Thorpe. Good to have you with us.
For all things news, tune in to Midday Report, weekdays at 12 noon, only on the SABC News channel.
Health Talk unpacks healthy tips to help you to practice healthy living lifestyles.
Now, generally, type 1 is found mostly in children and young adults, and with type 2 diabetes is found mainly in the older generation and also with an issue of obesity.
Don't have second portions, and then I've brought this plate model to show that for both meals, your lunch, your dinner, half a plate should be vegetables.
Within sports, we see the spectrum itself. Most often we see minor head contact injuries, we call them.
Right.
But certainly in sports, the one that a lot of attention is paid to is concussion.
You see, you've got something, boom, right, it's uncontrolled. Whereas in soccer, when the guy hits the ball, it's controlled. His neck muscles are controlling it. And that's why they say, for instance, in rugby, the training should be to improve your neck strength.
For more on health, join your host, Dr. Selo Motaung, every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m.
Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we looked at the political parties on the Tshwane Metro. And in our studios in Durban, to give us a little bit of a clearer picture, we've got our in-house specialist political researcher, Ranesh Doraj. Good to have you, Ranesh. Thanks so much for being with us on the program.
It is my pleasure, and thanks for pronouncing my name so correctly.
It's a pleasure. Bit of a tongue twister, but it's good. So listen, I mean, we're talking about Tshwane being one of those highly contested areas. We know it is. We really do. So political parties are hard at work campaigning. Do you think there's going to be an outright winner there?
Well, Leanne, just to start off, I think Tshwane, is really going to be the crown jewel for these local government elections. You did mention earlier that 3 highly contested metros, Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, and of course Johannesburg. But I think the DA will be very happy to know that they will make inroads in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. But I think really the crown jewel is going to be Tshwane, because remember, this is the admin capital. The DA is in control of the legislative capital down in the Western Cape in Cape Town. So just grabbing Tshwane, I think it'll be a victory, well, more like a symbolic victory if the DA has to secure a majority after August the 3rd. But if you have to ask me whether any party will secure a majority, 50% plus 1, although the polls are saying it's a very close contest, I sincerely think that the ANC will get around 45%. The DA will be very close to that, and yes, kingmakers like the EFF and other small parties like the Freedom Front Plus, ACDP, COPE perhaps might come into the picture and, just swing, the votes towards the ANC or the DA. But any one party winning majority, I don't think so.
All right. Let's talk about the candidates that we've got there. So we've got the ANC's Toko Didiza, the DA's Solium Samanga, and of course other party candidates as well. Do you think they have what it takes to bring the votes personally, or the party support? Because we saw what happened in Tshwane with the announcement of Toko Didiza. Do you think they lost votes by announcing the candidate, or do people go for a party, not a candidate?
I think, Leanne, in South Africa, we are still very much, in this mode of personality-driven politics. So this issue with Toko Didiza, the ANC took a decision of announcing her, unlike past elections, they announced their mayoral candidates. I think it was a bit risky for the ANC, but I think the ANC kind of did the right thing. Not that they emulated what the DA was doing all along, just that, they said, let's be a little more responsible, let's announce the candidates, let the voters get more familiar with the candidates, who they actually are going to vote for when they go into that voting booth on August the 3rd. Remember, Toko Didiza is also a very high-ranking ANC politician, high-ranking ANC government official. She was a cabinet minister in Thabo Mbeki's cabinet a couple of years ago. She's also an NEC member. She's also the chairperson of the National Assembly. So she's got all of those high-ranking credentials to her name. So I think what the ANC wanted to do was that it wanted to say to the voters, yes, we are serious. Yes, this is the admin capital. We are taking you guys seriously. We want to get things working in the capital city, Tshwane. But then if you look at the DA's guy, Solium Samanga, he is the DA's Gauteng chairperson, elected quite recently. He also was a member of the provincial legislature, but he's not as high profile as, say, for example, Herman Mashaba in Johannesburg, or the very flamboyant Patricia de Lille in Cape Town. This guy is very active on social media platforms, but I think he needs to do a little more work, a little more public relations for himself. The DA did it very well for Musi Maimane back in 2011. You would remember they campaigned heavily, spent millions and millions of rands on his campaign back in 2011. So I think these high-ranking politicians were drawn in for a specific reason. And remember, the ANC is very serious about the so-called black middle-class vote, whom they suspect they are losing, as more new, younger voters are added to the voters' roll. So the ANC brought in Toko Didiza to address that. Obviously, Solium Samanga is also going to appeal to the black middle-class vote. And this weekend, you saw high-profile members like Kgalema Motlanthe, as well as Ahmed Kathrada campaigning for the ANC in Gauteng.
Yeah, which is, that is, again, as you say, trying to appeal to the voter you're referring to. Just finally, it's going to be quite interesting, because when we were looking at the graphics a bit earlier, we saw the Freedom Front Plus, we saw COPE still there. there. Do you think these municipal elections, and with the EFF now participating, do you think it's going to be the disappearance of that dynamic, or do you think the Freedom Front Plus is still going to hold on to some votes in the area?
You know, just a few days ago, I was telling your colleague Tabiso, watch the United Democratic Movement, the UDM, in the Eastern Cape, because remember that's the former Transkei. Bantu Holomisa has a very strong showing in the Eastern Cape province. Here in Gauteng, in Tshwane, watch the Freedom Front Plus, because I think they're going to be the kingmakers along with the EFF. Those two parties, well, you know, the EFF has been very vociferous, campaigning extensively in some townships in Tshwane, like Shoshanguve, Mamelodi, Mabopane, Hammanskraal, Karankua. And remember, those are ANC strongholds. If you look at the voting trajectory in those townships, they were 99% backing the ANC. And now, in the 2016 elections, those townships are up for grabs. You know, it's rich pickings for parties like the EFF and the ANC. The DA might win a couple of votes there, but I think it's going to be a fight between the ANC and the EFF in those townships. But then also remember that Tshwane is 80% urban, and then you get those townships and 20% rural. If you look at the population demographics as well, you've got 2.2 black African voters in Tshwane, but a huge component of white voters, 600,000 voters who are white. And remember, these are conservative voters who might support parties like the DA, possibly go support en masse, you know, give their vote to the Freedom Front Plus. They will also support parties like the ACDP and COPE. So I think watch the ANC, watch the DA, but pay very careful attention to the Freedom Front Plus, and also to a certain degree the ACDP.
All right, Ranesh, thank you so much for talking to us here on the program. It's always a pleasure. That's our in-house specialist political researcher, Ranesh Duraj, from our Durban studios, and giving us a bit more clarity on that one. Nothing not Plus. Interesting about these elections.
Freedom Front Plus, EFF, possible kingmakers.
Imagine.
I told you, Ranesh, when he brings it, he brings it. That's an interesting conversation. I'm sure our viewers as well themselves are thinking, whew, I was not looking at that.
Yeah.
Freedom Front Plus.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Very, very interesting.
Yeah, anyway, I think we take a quick break. When we return, Sims has got the tweets. Social media has been speaking. He did ask the question earlier, what do you do to save the money? Simply will come back after this.
Hypertension is the condition where the blood pressure, the pressure in the blood vessels, it goes up.
We often come out at the top of the ladder having the worst numbers. And I think that's because we almost have what I can call a perfect storm of high blood pressure risk factors.
If you are diagnosed with hypertension, you just have to continue taking the medication for the rest of the life.
Because we try and reintegrate them, and we try and retrain their abilities to be part of social society.
We do a lot of work trying to educate people, trying to encourage and motivate people to lead a healthy lifestyle. So what a healthy lifestyle means from a blood pressure point of view is obviously the more active you are, and the better your heart is, the more fit your heart is, and the better condition your blood vessels are.
Catch Health Talk every Saturday from 9 to 10 with Dr. Sillo Mutawo.
Welcome back. You're watching the election show on SABC2 and SABC News Channel 4. Thank you so much for staying with us. A record 200 parties and 61,014 candidates, and we continue. These parties will contest next month's local elections with more than 61,000 candidates. And in the King Sabata Dalindyebo municipality in the Eastern Cape, there will also be some names on the ballot paper.
Mthatha is the biggest town in the KSD municipality. It is also the economic hub of the northeastern part of the Eastern Cape. Residents from various areas within the municipality have been complaining about poor service delivery, leading to the emergence of civil groupings and independent candidates contesting the election. The Mthatha Ratepayers and Residents Association is one of the civil groupings contesting the local government elections in the King Sabata Dalindyebo municipality. The MRA says councillors linked to political parties fail to deliver services to the people because their allegiance is to their respective political parties.
We want the people to take control of their areas because political parties are controlled somewhere else at their head offices. This is all to do for the locals as well as the residents. That is people renting at various places, both rural and urban, because the municipality is on a wall-to-wall basis. And we would like people to be closer to their organization, which is dealing with their day-to-day demands. So we reckon this is more appropriate to them because local government elections is about local issues.
A security industry organization has also been formed. Its service delivery mantra is to protect people living in rural areas.
Siqala apha kule ndawo ye-security apho sifuna ukongeza inani lama-security ezidolophini.
Starting with security, we want to increase guards and reduce hours. In schools, ensure safety of our children, create projects so that crime drops in rural areas. Crime increases because people are idle. Plow fields in Ngeleni, we want them planted.
Independent candidates also want to effect change, saying they represent non-political residents who ask them to stand.
People should vote for me as an independent candidate because I bring not only a message of hope and change in the community, but we are bringing the actual change after the elections. We are going to do that with the community. I'm not an independent candidate by choice. I'm a candidate elected and given the mandate by the community to stand for them. Because here we faced a situation in the ward whereby development and all programs of developing the community, employment and projects were reserved for a few people.
After the August 3rd results, it will certainly be interesting to see how smaller parties and independents performed. Khaled Ukobe, SABC News, Mthatha.
We've received some reaction from you on our question, how can smaller parties generate their own income as it is the case in the metros? Well, EFF gave me hope under the Twitter handle StrongPillar7. He says, number 1, send all employees or deployees who stole our tax to jail. Number 2, young, fresh intellectuals who care about Africa, or rather hire young, fresh intellectuals who care about Africa. And number 3, get rid of tenders. I can go on and on. That was EFF gave me hope. And then Michael Sylvester says they can by running development projects in their situated communities that will later on make returns, like the SMMEs. Yeah. And then a very interesting one coming up, coming from Ian Harris in the UK. He says, reduce salaries. 70% of the municipal budgets are paid out for salaries for non-performing managers. And I think that that's a very interesting tweet, guys, just to drive accountability on all the public office bearers.
Yeah. They can go on and on.
I know.
Yeah. First, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us. See you tomorrow?
Yeah.
See you tomorrow, yeah. I guess.
I won't be with you tomorrow. I'm actually taking another trip to Louis Trichardt.
Oh, not again.
Broadcasting there from Mpumalanga. All of this in the aid of educating viewers about what's happening in the different provinces in Mpumalanga.
And remember, to our viewers as well, SABC2 and our SABC News Channel 4 viewers, stay with us. We are broadcasting from the airport at 1900 hours when the team that went up climbing with Googles will return to South Africa. Stay with us. Bye-bye.